Hey then guys, Brilliant Little here from your land partner and Property Developers Academy, coming to you today for your installment of 100 and 100, number 68, carrying on the funding discussion. So we're part of the funding section of the property development life cycle, and we're moving through the capital stack. So up to this stage, we discussed that there's three parts to the capital stack, which equate to 100% of project costs. There's the equity, there's the senior debt, which we discussed. Now, in a lot of cases, probably in most cases, you may find that 100% of project costs are actually funded between equity and debt. You may have enough money yourself with investor money and your own money to get to the threshold where you can then get the 80% or what have you, or 75% of the rest from a senior debt lender. But if that is not the case, then you've got a couple of different options really. Obviously, you reach a ceiling point when it comes to debt funding. They'll only go up to a certain degree of funding as a percentage of cost. And you've then got to make up the rest of that money effectively. So you've got one or two options. You either then look to increase your equity, that might be going out to other investors, or finding some of your own money, releasing some capital or something like that from somewhere else. Or alternatively, you could go to a specialist lender and sort what's called mezzanine finance. So mezzanine finance is kind of the third element of the capital stack. It's the piece in the middle. So it plugs the gap between equity and debt. It stretches that equity. So it's not quite it's not absolute equity, and it's not a debt product. It's kind of a hybrid debt product. It carries second charge. Obviously, senior debt has first charge, and then mezzanine, if you have any, would then take second charge. And obviously, because of second charge, the risk is more under second charge, therefore the rates for finance is a lot more, but it can be incredibly useful funding mechanism, and it's generally speaking available to those that have got a bit more experience, obviously, because this type of lending is a bit specialist, and the lenders themselves will be looking ultimately, because they're carrying more risk. It's about them getting their payments, because it's at quite a healthy interest rate. They're getting their payments most likely out of the profit that you're going to make, and you may be allowed some in your appraisal for higher interest rates, but typically they're backing experienced developers or developers that can deliver projects. So in a quick example, let's just see if I can share just to illustrate this. It's a pretty swift session, this one, because essentially, as I said before, the main two parts is equity and debt, and if you haven't quite got enough equity, then you've got to find another solution, and mezzanine finance could be that solution. So in this example, we've got our capital stack here. As we said before, this is 100% of 100% of project cost across there, and then we've got let's get our line back. We've got our debt here. We've got a bit of equity at the top. So in this example, let's say it was total project costs of 2 million total cost, and let's say the senior debt funder, which is senior here, is funding, say, 75% of that. So senior debt at this in this example would be in at 1.5. Let's say we've got our own equity, so we've got equity at the top here. Might be yours, might be yours, part investor money, whatever that may be. Let's just say we've got equity of 250k. So we've got to plug the gap You know, there's a £250,000 gap here, so we may then look for a mezzanine as funder to then plug that gap of 250k. So obviously it's very much a case-by-case basis. We want to try and keep the capital stack and the structure of our funding as simple as we possibly can. The more money that you sit on, or the more money in terms of investment and investors and equity that you've got available to you, will open up lots more funding. It will get you better rates. Obviously, we can keep the senior debt level a bit further down, or you can stretch your equity across multiple projects and you know, take advantage of senior debt that's available to you if they're offering you good terms and good rates. But you know, mezzanine can be really useful if you've got that gap there, and they will plug it. Now, typical rates for mezzanine finance, because it is kind of that hybrid debt product, it is, and it only takes second charge, it is going to attract higher interest rates. So you're probably looking at anything from about 15 to 25% plus per annum interest rates on mezzanine finance. So hopefully you found this useful. We're going to be moving on in future sessions now. We've covered the capital stack, and we're going to be moving on to things like cash flow, structuring your finance deals, and before we round up the finance piece, we've been moving on to the next stage, which will be the build in a few sessions time. So hope you found this useful, and I look forward to joining you again very, very soon for your next session of 100 in 100. Keep watching. Take care.